This month, I am thrilled to bring you 3 back-to-back reviews of products that I have been testing for 2+ weeks daily. Samsung invited me to their Galaxy Unpacked event in early July to preview the newest devices early and take home some review units to temporarily test. So huge thank you to Samsung for providing this Galaxy Z Flip7 for my channel. I will also be sharing a bunch of pro tips for this phone, so subscribe for that future video. Samsung just dropped their newest phone into the Flippy ring, and spoiler alert, they listened to tons of feedback and they made loads of improvements in the Flip7. What's up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome back to the channel where we dive into tech that is smart, secure, and stylish. So price-wise, we are looking at $1,099.99 for the 256 gig model and $1,219.99 for the 512 gig one retail. Now, as for the colors, you have got jet black, blue shadow, coral red, and the exclusive mint over on Samsung.com. My personal favorite is this really bright, cheery coral red, which has a beautiful hue in person, and the mint one is a very, very close second. Now, this blue shadow color is pretty fetching though, especially in the sunlight. It's kind of metallic looking. It's really pretty. I do have an unboxing on my channel, but in the box you are getting the phone, a USB-C cable, a SIM ejection tool, and that's about it. Now, when you flip this phone open, the Z Flip7 measures 166.7 millimeters tall and 6.5 millimeters thin. And folded, it becomes this cute little square nugget thing at 13.7 millimeters thick, weighing only 188 grams or 6.63 ounces. They also included this redesigned Armor FlexHinge, which feels really sturdy, and it's also now IP48 rated, so as long as I'm not dunking this thing in water for more than 30 minutes deeper than 1.5 meters, I should be good to go. It will be protected from dust as well, greater than 1 millimeter in size, so taking it to the beach or to a dusty Renaissance fair should be fine. Just be careful not to drop it in the dirt or the sand. I would still recommend putting it in a case and wiping off the folding screen before you close it to avoid any potential issues. Now, I do want to point out how smooth the new Armor FlexHinge is. It's really, really smooth whenever you open and close it. It looks pretty similar to the Flip 6, but it does flip into a thinner space, and I do have my Flip 6 here so you can see the difference in the size. You can tell immediately that the Flip 6 is a little bit bigger and wider than the Flip 7. Now, even though it packs into a thinner space, it does keep that really satisfying, smooth close. The tension for the FlexHinge is also stronger. You can still kind of flip it out like I just did, but it does take a little bit more force to open and close. Now, if you are finding this video helpful, a subscribe would mean so much to me. Subscribing is a very simple way of showing me which videos you find helpful and valuable, and it tells me which direction I should be taking my channel in. Also, a big Patreon shout out to Shy Wolf 91, Steve W, and James S. You can join them and support my channel by going over to patreon.com/Shannon Morse for perks like early video access and my private Discord. Now, with this aluminum frame and that Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the cover display, as well as the back of the device, we are seeing a pretty durable design. I have been running around North Carolina with 3 phones, with car keys and other sharp stuff, all stuffed into a purse, and I have not noticed any scuffs yet. This thing still looks brand new. Now, here's the thing. Would you hand one of these to a 4-year-old? Because I totally did that. Yeah, I definitely did. I panicked a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let her try it out and see what happens. My 4-year-old niece was totally interested in this folding phone, so I let her try opening and closing the Flip 7, and while her first impression was to open it like a book, I did notice that she didn't try to bend it backwards, which was good, thank God, and she also did not like press down hard on the screen. She didn't hurt the phone. If you don't break the phone, I'm very impressed. Will you open it again for me? Will you show me? What do you think? Ain't nobody gonna argue that. Do you like that?
Yeah, I want one.
You want one?
It was cute.
Good job. Good job.
I can watch Jurassic Park again.
Oh, thank you. The main display is really beautiful though. It's a 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X screen. It's 120 Hz refresh rate, full HD plus resolution, that's 2520 by 1080. And it also has a peak brightness of 2600 nits. It is very, very bright. It is certainly hard to see on camera on a bright sunny beach day. I was trying to get some footage of this thing in the sunlight and it was really hard to do. I can see it pretty well in person whenever I was using it on the beach. That 21:9 aspect ratio is pretty wide and it's fairly skinny, just a little bit wider than previously. So you will still have those black bars on both sides whenever you watch YouTube videos, but whenever you hold it like a traditional phone and do things like typing away on your keyboard, it's actually a little bit easier thanks to that slightly wider design. And I do have to say, I think Samsung is just moments away from perfecting the crease. This one is smooth, it's barely there, it's unnoticeable whenever you're using the main display. You can't see it head on unless you are actively trying to point it out by tilting that screen in the sunlight or into a reflective lighting situation. The cover display, oh my gosh, this cover display is a huge improvement. It is so nice. This one over here is the Flip7, this is the Flip6. Side by side, they look like completely different phones from completely different brands. Like, no contest. This one is so much better. The cover display is a huge improvement. It's one of my main critiques that I had last year because those bezels were just so huge. This one is upgraded. It is edge to edge. There is no bezel chin. Right here we have this big black chin running across the bottom of the Flip 6. And now it's a big 4.1-inch Super AMOLED with a 948 by a 1048 resolution. It's also a touchscreen from top to bottom, side to side. Even those pixels right around the little camera bumps, they're also kind of sensitive to touch. So you can actually use the pixels, use the screen right around the camera. The flex window, this is called a flex window, this cover display, the refresh rate matches the folding display at 120 Hz too. It's also just as bright at 2600 nits. It is really gorgeous, and this is the flex window display that I have been hoping for years. Now, neither screen is as bright as the Razer Ultra screens, which I recently reviewed as well. Now, this flex window is still somewhat limited in terms of functionality. Yes, you can enable labs and multi-star in your settings, and that will give you more freedom, but I still don't think that's intuitive enough and will probably remain unnoticed by general consumers unless they go looking for it. We are talking about running more apps on this screen. With multi-star, you can also change the aspect ratio of apps on your flex window so you can access buttons that are normally hidden in that bottom right corner. That way, you can use all of those apps intelligently on your flex window. But one thing that is enabled out of the box, you can actually now use Galaxy AI and Gemini Live fully on the flex window display, and that is a killer feature. Now, previously, if you wanted to get all those features of AI, we had to open the phone to fully access Gemini, but now it works natively on the cover screen. You can also prop open the phone and open the camera while on Gemini to ask it to help with things that it can see through the cameras. Also, that Now Brief is available on the flex window too. I have found that the Now Brief is becoming more useful over time. It has been available previously as well. Now, this thing does take some pretty epic photos, and I had a ton of fun using it with friends and family for group selfies and some hands-free photography. I even did some astro photography, and I captured the Milky Way in some of my photos, which is crazy cool. So the rear setup includes the following specs. On the rear side, we have a 50 megapixel, that's f1.8. There's also a 12 megapixel ultra wide, that one is f2.2 aperture, and these can record up to 4K 30 or 60 FPS. On the folding screen right here on the interior, we have an additional selfie camera. This one is a 10 megapixel f2.2 aperture lens. This one can also do 4K at 30 or 60 FPS. On those rear lenses, you are getting a 2x optical quality zoom and up to 10 times digital zoom. General photography on the main shooter, the 50 megapixel wide angle, look really crisp, full of detail, really rich colors. Pictures from the Incubus concert at Red Rocks Amphitheater looked incredible. Nighttime shots were less impressive. There was a lot of glare from the lights overhead. And I checked, the lenses were perfectly clean, so this wasn't glare due to like gunk on the lens. I saw the same type of glare in some of my photos from the Renaissance Fair too. If you switch over to night mode, those photos were very fun. Astrophotography exceeded my expectations, and even though the Earth rotates, obviously, the Earth is round, and I do have some movement in the stars, I was impressed with the photos that I was able to get. Rear camera selfies and group photos were very clear. I really liked these ones of me and my sister, even with that bright umbrella behind us. The Flip 7 balanced out those colors and the brightness really well, so it illuminated our faces really well. My portrait mode photos looked cool, but I generally just prefer that normal looking aperture from the main wide angle lens. Now the 12 megapixel ultra wide lens was also great for wider shots and group selfies. I really love the HDR look of these Red Rock concert photos, and the wide angle works great for personal selfies. Like, I would bring this thing with me on a solo travel so I could easily snap photos of me with cool landscapes or architecture right behind me, and you can actually see quite a bit of what's going on around you. It's also quite useful for hands-free wide angle selfies. So all you have to do is set up your Flip 7 on a tabletop, turn on that camera, and use gesture controls to snap photos. The front lens is that 10 megapixel selfie shooter. It's not the best in low light, but Samsung's software really does compensate quite well. Recording is pretty darn steady. I love using it as a camcorder and turning on that preview display so the person on camera can see themselves. The zoom could be a little bit better. 10 times digital looks like a potato, but it is still pretty fantastic in terms of stabilization. Audio picks up the main speaker a lot better than distant subjects, but it is still pretty clear. And you can also always use that AI audio eraser in the gallery app to remove any kind of noises. Hey Kenny, how you doing?
What does she want?
Me too. Thank you for the shrimp and grits. Oh my god, it was so good, so good. Oh, look at that, that's so pretty. Oh, where are we?
Red Rocks Amphitheater, baby.
Do you love it? Who are we seeing?
Incubus.
Yeah! That is Manchester Orchestra down there. Can we see them? 10 times zoom? Now this is controversial, but under the hood, we've got the Exynos 2500 chipset. Interestingly, Samsung chose to go with their own chipset this year instead of the Snapdragon line from Qualcomm. It's also backed by 12 gigs of RAM and either 256 or 512 gigs of UFS 4.0 storage. It's also running Android 16 with One UI 8, and Samsung promises 7 years, yes, 7 years of updates. I love that. Now the Exynos was probably a cost-effective choice for Samsung, and a lot of folks were worried that this would affect the overall stability and the processing power. But this thing really flies. I played Genshin Impact, I had no lag, I edited 4K video clips, and I multitasked with 0 hiccups. And the Exynos CPU did a fine job of reliably letting me switch tasks, take a slew of photos, and it dissipated heat really well. Now Genshin Impact defaults to medium graphics, but of course I'm chaotic and I increased to high with 0 problems. It still looked great with no lag. The phone did get warm whenever I was using it for graphic intensive purposes, but I do think that it is less hot than last year's model, just based on my own comparison. I also ran some benchmarks. Oh my gosh, it's getting mad at me because I keep on touching the power button on the side and it's like, wrong finger, put in your pin. So I'm just gonna put it down for a second. Now I did run some benchmarks in 3D Mark and my stress test completed without issue and the scores were very impressive. And again, I continue to be impressed when it came to the battery, which is a 4300 milliampere hour. It lasted me almost 13 hours with 8.5 of those with the screen on, 4.5 with the screen off. That is at full brightness, streaming 4K YouTube videos and playing games to really try and drain that battery. Charging is 25 watts wired, standard, 15 watts wireless. I like faster charging. I have gotten really spoiled by some of the other brands, so my expectations are a little bit higher now. Wi-Fi 7 speeds are blazing fast. This phone really took full advantage of my fast network. Call quality and connections were very satisfactory. Unfortunately, my phone does not have UWB or ultra wideband, which I suspect probably has to do with the chipset, but we've also not seen UWB in the Flip 6 either. And in terms of security, so Samsung again is offering 7 years of security updates and Android upgrades. Face unlock is there too. I did find it to be reliable, but I mainly use the fingerprint sensor myself. Now the fingerprint sensor is built into that power button. Whenever you set it up, you have to move your finger around, and it's really weird, but I'm gonna show you here. It's really weird. You set it up, you have to move your finger back and forth and up and down to register it. You're like caressing the power button. I did notice it's not as accurate as I would like. Sometimes I have to put my finger on the button more than once for it to read and unlock the phone. Also, I do have a pro tip. In the settings, you can change the fingerprint settings so the sensor is always on to make this a more fluid experience. That way you won't have to like click on the button to wake the sensor up, and you can just put your finger there and it will turn on. Now, one of the biggest surprises and a welcome addition is the ability to use DeX with the Flip 7. So this means you can connect it to a desktop monitor. I can connect it wirelessly to my 65-inch TV or any compatible monitor for a larger desktop-like display. Usually you want to do this in wireless mode, but if you don't have a wireless compatible monitor, you can also just plug it in straight to HDMI. Now I know this is a very niche feature, but it's very useful if you want to travel while still using productivity tools on your smartphone. So you could also connect it to a Bluetooth keyboard and a mouse to make it even more useful. So here's my TLDR. The Galaxy Z Flip7 is the most refined foldable flip phone that Samsung has ever made, in my personal opinion. You are getting that bright, usable cover screen. Finally, it's so big. I love it. Legit flagship performance. You get your all-day battery life and 7 years of updates, assuming it will last that long. We always question durability when it comes to foldables. And there's also a design that actually fits in small pockets while you're still getting that expanded front display. But on the other end, it still starts at over $1,000, and durability, especially with the inner display, is going to be a question mark when it comes to these foldy screens. You are still getting a better camera setup on the S25 series or the Fold Series 2. So would I recommend it? Well, again, make sure to subscribe for my pro tips video where I will show you exactly how to use all the coolest features on this phone, as well as my security and privacy recommendations for the settings. But if you love the idea of a compact phone that is still powerful enough for things like content creation, and it can get you through a full day, then yes. Just make sure you get a good case and get that warranty so you can take full advantage of that 7 years of updates. Obviously, the Flip compact design is not going to be for everybody, especially if you want a foldy that's a little bit larger. You probably want to go looking at the Fold 7, which I'm also reviewing on the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you very soon for another Samsung review. Bye y'all.